Obviously, a lot of people are very curious, and you've kind of spoken to this multiple times before, but with Unearthed Arcana and with the new Player's Handbook coming out, the new Dungeon Master's Guide, how is this going to be compatible with 5th edition? It is 5th edition.
Yeah, these books are a continuation of the edition we've all been playing since 2014 that has continued to grow. It's vibrant, it's healthy. And so our goal is to prepare the game for its next decade. And we're doing that as we did 10 years ago when we launched 5th edition by having an extended conversation with the broader D&D community through the Unearthed Arcana process. Our end goal is that we will include in the 2024 rulebooks all the best elements of the 2014 rulebooks, along with new material and also old material that has been refined. And what we're doing through this Unearthed Arcana process is really zeroing in on what new things and what changed old things excite people, resonate with people, and then we will take those things and incorporate them into the game. And then things that aren't exciting a large number of people or otherwise resonating with the broader D&D community, those things, as we often do in the Unearthed Arcana process, we will leave and not carry those forward. And so what that means is throughout this process, we started being very experimental. We started with rules that you and I have even talked about. We didn't even necessarily expect the community to embrace, but we wanted to see the reaction. We wanted to see what is the community's appetite for change. And then again, when it comes to change or told new things, what are the things that really cause people's eyes to light up, that cause people to be excited? And now that we have released playtest versions of all of the classes in the game, save the monk, who will be coming very soon, we're actually nearing the end of the first chapter of our playtest process, which was the sort of, let's see what the appetite for change is. People are then going to see in the upcoming Unearthed Arcanas a return to many familiar things from the 2014 books, but now with some of the new material incorporated. Here's a concrete example. We've been experimenting with subclass progression. And we've talked before that one of our main goals is to make it so that you don't have to pick a subclass at first level. Well, in the process of exploring that goal, we also thought, what would it look like if all subclasses progressed at the same levels? Those are actually two different design goals for us, or two different design explorations, rather. And what we have found is that the one that's more important to us, of opening up levels 1 and 2 as truly sort of, getting your feet wet levels in each class, that has been landing well. The normalization of the subclass progression, while interesting and appealing to some people, really is not lighting anyone's world on fire in a positive way. But it's also not drawing negative reaction. But as you and I have talked about before, what we want is delight. And so if the response to something is largely meh, well, then we're leaving it behind. And so you're actually going to see in the very next Unearthed Arcana, when we revisit the experts and the priests, their old subclass progressions are going to be back, but without subclasses on first or second level. Mm-hmm. So suddenly you're going to see us moving to a point where it's going to be easier and easier to even just point at and say, oh yeah, that's the thing that changed there. But then here are all the things that are exactly as we've been playing them since 2014. And so this is all a part of the process as we move toward, sort of refining, finding all the best parts, as we build the 2024 versions of the books with the goal that they will be usable with the 5th edition adventures you have now. You'll be able to open up Curse of Strahd, Princes of the Apocalypse, any of our others, and play them with these new books.
Why was this important for the design team to make sure that all that content still worked together? Like, why not do another edition? Like, what was about 5th edition you wanted to maintain?
So 5th edition continues to grow. So there is no reason for us to stop it, and all sorts of reasons for us to continue it. People are continuing to discover the game, love the game. We see, the family of D&D just with each year gets larger and larger. And so what that signaled to us is it wasn't time to stop that, but rather time to sort of check in on the game, see how we can bring the most important books of the game, the 3 core books, up to sort of the current state of the art, incorporate things that we've all learned about the game over the last 8 years, so that those most important books can be in their best shape as we embark on what I hope will be the next 10 years for 5th edition. So again, in the process, we're doing experimentation, we're checking in to see how best can we address some of the squeaky wheels in the game, how best can we introduce new options that will set us up for new design explorations in the next 10 years, because also some of this design is aimed toward that, because we have some things we want to explore in the years ahead, and tweaking some of the things in the core game will make those explorations even smoother. All again, checking in with the community as we go to see, what are you liking? What would you rather us leave behind? What do you love? What do you want us to protect and carry forward? And in the end, the books themselves will tell you how they work with the 5th edition books you already have. Books that, by the way, continue to sell well. That's another reason why we don't want to invalidate the 5th edition libraries that people already have, because people are still buying Curse of Strahd. Yeah. People are still going and looking for a copy of The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. New groups are discovering Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel and starting their campaigns. We want to keep that going, and again, get the core books in the best shape they can be for the next phase of this edition, while allowing all of those other fun books to continue to be used.
Focusing on the design needs of the players seems like the focus of all of this.
Absolutely.
And there's kind of this core advantage of, but you can do all this playtesting, but you've had 10 years of playtesting for 5th edition, so it's a good time to update. So we've been talking about the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual and all the core rule books, and we're identifying them as kind of 2024. The 2024 Player's Handbook, the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. Why the sudden focus specifically on the year?
So in our internal design discussions for almost 3 years now, we have been using the year designations to differentiate between the different versions of the 5th edition rulebooks as we've been working on new versions. And so to make it clear for ourselves which version that we're talking about, we will talk about the 2014 Player's Handbook and then talk then about what we might be doing the same or differently in the 2024 Player's Handbook. So we have found that just for ourselves, talking about the release year is a great way to be clear about which versions of the core books we're talking about that are basically different versions of the core books for 5th edition. So, we need to be able to talk about different rule books over the course of a long-lived edition. And we found at least internally, that referring to them by year is, for us, the best way to make it crystal clear what we're talking about.
Me and other members of the content team notice that there is some capitalization changes in Unearthed Arcana or differences from how capitalization is done in the core rule books. Can you explain that?
So as a part of the Unearthed Arcana process, we have been, in addition to exploring new potential directions with certain rules, we're also exploring different ways of writing the rules. And one of those explorations that we've embarked on last year and have been continuing is looking at what do we capitalize and what do we not capitalize. And we started early on in the Player's Handbook Unearthed Arcana series capitalizing a whole lot of terms. We've actually reduced the number of terms in the playtest process that we capitalize, but it's still more than people are used to seeing in the 2014 core rulebooks. And the direction we're headed in is definitely more capitalization than what was in the game previously, because it helps signal to the reader when are they reading a proper noun, the name of something, versus just a general English word. For a great example of this is when we give you the name of a condition. When we say poisoned, for instance, we don't just mean poisoned in the English sense. We're actually giving you the name of a game object. And as soon as you see that capital P on poisoned, that helps signal to you, I'm seeing the name of something which I should now go look up. Or if I already know how it works, I don't have to go look it up. But the key is the text signaled to me, here's a game term that's important to my understanding of the rule that I'm reading.